South Africa's ports are our gateways to trade with the rest of the world. These are the places where hundreds of millions of tons of goods leave and enter the country, driving international commerce and encouraging economic growth. Managing our port systems on behalf of the state, Transnet National Ports Authority is entirely self-sustaining and a global leader in maritime logistics and port management, thanks to a combination of cutting-edge technology and exceptionally skilled and trained personnel. South Africa has 8 commercial ports strategically dotted around our spectacular coastline. South Africa's flagship port and the busiest on the African continent, the Port of Durban is the country's premier container, automotive, liquid bulk and cruise port. Durban welcomes over 4,500 commercial shipping vessels and handles more than 88 million tons of cargo every year. Not only does it boast world-class facilities to service the shipping industry, it's a hotspot for tourists who flock here to enjoy restaurants and cafes dotted along the quay while taking in spectacular views. Further up north on the KwaZulu-Natal coast, we find the Port of Richards Bay, one of the largest coal exporting ports in the world. It handles, by far, the most tonnage of cargo overall as well. Over 100 million tons per year arrive and depart from Richards Bay on some of the biggest shipping vessels in the world. This port never sleeps, and it's also connected to a massive railway and pipeline network that can move tons of cargo both locally and to neighboring countries. Down to the Sunshine Coast, where in the last few decades, the small port of East London is fast becoming a big economic player. Lying in the mouth of the beautiful Buffalo River in the Eastern Cape, it's the only commercial river port in South Africa and is a major hub for handling coal, textiles, timber, agricultural, and automotive cargo to and from South Africa and the rest of the world. The port's prime location also attracts touring cruise liners, offering visitors prime access to the region's beautiful historical and natural wonders. East London, along with the Port of Port Elizabeth, form a sophisticated and modern car terminal system, which is why they are the preferred regional gateways for exports and imports within the automotive sector. Port Elizabeth is one of the oldest ports in South Africa and was established nearly 200 years ago. It's strategically located in Algoa Bay, and besides being a bustling center for the automotive industry, it's also a major site for import and exports for the oil, agricultural, fishing, and manganese industries. South Africa's newest port, Ngqura, is found on the coast of the Eastern Cape at the mouth of the Ngqura River. It is also the deepest container port in the country, providing world-class container shipping facilities and port services to the surrounding Ngqura Special Economic Zone and beyond. The construction of Ngqura boasts a number of groundbreaking firsts in port design and function. It's the only port in the country to have green status, with the surrounding natural sea and land habitats protected from the impact of the operations of the port and economic zone. The smallest commercial port in the country, Port of Ngqura Bay, has a maritime history dating back to the 1400s. Today, it's a bustling hub servicing primarily the local commercial fishing and petroleum industries. It's also the only South African port that operates 2 offshore moorings via subsea pipelines that can connect to tank farms 13 kilometers away on the mainland. With Table Mountain as its magnificent backdrop, the Port of Cape Town in the mother city has arguably the most strategic location of all the ports in South Africa. It's a vital stop on the South Atlantic transport route, one of the world's busiest ocean trade routes. This port handles the largest amount of fresh fruit cargo in the country, as well as petroleum products, chemicals, iron, steel, and agricultural products and is our second largest container port. Moving up the west coast, we find the Port of Saldanha, the largest natural port in southern Africa. Originally constructed to facilitate the export of iron ore, this legacy lives on, and the port is connected to the longest heavy-haul rail line in the world, which carries ore from the mines almost 900 kilometers away. It's also home to a thriving aquaculture industry, being one of the primary locations for the culture of key commercial cold water species like oysters, mussels, and salmon. Transnet National Ports Authority is committed to the sustainability of its mandate, the natural environment, as well as the growth of its people and surrounding communities. We're constantly evolving, expanding, and improving as we sail into another decade. With our cutting-edge port management technology, our superior fleet and services, South African ports have become international trailblazers in the shipping world. And with Transnet National Ports Authority firmly at the helm, we are steering the maritime industry and the economy into the future.
Okay, thank you. Seems like we will need to continue. Okay, so first up we will have Fungiwe. Fungiwe, please take us through the panel discussion points that you have for us today.
Thank you, Chairperson. I'll call you the captain of our session today. Thank you, Ronaldo. And morning to everyone, to our esteemed guests. The students here today are our guests. So morning to all of you and to the colleagues and those joining us online. Thank you so much for the opportunity as well. My name is Fungi Wentuli. I am the senior pilot for the Port of Ngqura, currently assisting in the role of a senior operations manager, looking after our ports efficiencies and operations in the industry, in our TNPA ports. I'll just take you through the overview and the function and the role of our marine. Zooming in into our Harbour Master's function, just to share with the colleagues and also our esteemed guest, what is it that we do at the Harbour Master office. As the earlier presentation shared with all of you in terms of our ports within the Transnet, we have those 8 ports that has been presented earlier. We are currently situated in the Port of Ngqura, which is in the eastern region. In the eastern region, we have 3 ports, Port of East London, Port of Port Elizabeth, as well as Port of Ngqura. So there is just an overview for you to just have a look and see how our ports strategically and geographically situated. Next slide. So as I mentioned earlier, I'll be taking you through the Harbour Master role and as well as function. In the Harbour Master office, that's where you will find your pilots like myself. You will find VTS, which is vessel traffic controllers, those who are 24/7 monitoring our vessel movements in our oceans. And also the Harbour Master is responsible for nautical and safety aspects of our waters. Just like you see in your schools, you have principals that oversees the schools. That's where you find your teachers and yourselves having to report to. Also in the ports, we have our principal, who is the Harbour Master, who ensures safety, security, orderly manner in terms of our operations, as well as the protection of our environment. And over and above that, I think on the next slide, it shows in details what is it exactly in terms of our compliance, in terms of our rules. What is it exactly that the Harbour Master is responsible for? So the Harbour Master is a principal, like I said earlier, he's like the principal of the port. He has to make sure, he or she, in the respective port that the person or the master is appointed to, has to make sure that we keep our highest standard of navigation and also pilotage in our South African waters, and also all that he does is actually in accordance with compliance of our Port Acts. He has to make sure that he provides pilotage services to our vessels that calls our port. Remember, these vessels come from all over the world, coming to import, export cargo in our ports. So the Harbour Master has to make sure that they offer such services that the pilots are able to dock and sail these vessels that come to our ports. Obviously, working together with the vessel traffic controllers, those colleagues that monitors the traffic movement in our harbors, and also just ensuring safety of our environment, ensuring that the compliance in terms of licensing, all those that operates within our ports, they are all licensed to conduct business in our ports. Moving to the next slide, it still talks to the function of a Harbour Master, where myself as a pilot are then assisting our vessels that come to our ports with while using a pilot boat. The pilots will be taken out to those vessels, whereby I board the ship, I'll use the word drive, so I maneuver the ship into the ports, I safely dock it, and then so that our terminal operators are then able to work cargo using the cranes to move cargo from those vessels, whether the cargo that is on board the vessel is from the liquid bulk, then it's being pumped to those reservoirs that you find in the port. Also, one of those functions that our harbor masters are responsible for is in emergencies whereby our vessels are in distress or there is attention that needs to be given to people that require assistance, then the harbor master will make sure that they give those services to our ships that calls our port. Here, the harbor master works with a team of vessel traffic controllers, as I mentioned earlier. There is also a deputy, also a deputy principal who is a deputy harbour master that works together with the harbour master to ensure safe and efficiencies of our port operations. And also, obviously, the berth planners, those people who make sure that the vessels are given service, they are berthed accordingly as planned for day-to-day operation. On the next slide, it still talks to the function of a harbour master, where I mentioned that they are responsible for the safety of our of those vessels that comes to the ports. Moving to the next slide, there it looks into our marine operations. I'm sure in your visits, you had tug masters coming to your schools, telling you about what they do as a tug masters. Tug masters are those skippers that drive the tugboats that assist our ships when they come into the port. So the pilots will board the ship, and that ship will be assisted by the tugs when they have to maneuver and turn inside our ports and being pushed alongside. So the tug masters are those skippers or employees that you find in the ports. And we have also pilot boats that are also manned by our employees. We have tugboats, as I mentioned earlier. We have also helicopters. So beside being a marine pilots, we have aviation pilots that then drive those pilots, those helicopters. We have launches, the work boats. We have a lot of floating crafts and floating cranes that are used in ensuring that we offer our port services to our customers. These are just the pictures to show you our tags, to show you our helicopters, as well as the pilot boats that you'll find in our ports. For Port of Ngqura, we do not have a helicopter service as yet, but in the future, we will be utilizing a helicopter to then transport our pilots. This then looks into the program that Transnet offers in terms of the cadets that enter the maritime program. So every now and then, the Transnet will give them those bursaries. I am actually one of the Transnet bursary student. I received a bursary to study maritime at Durban University of in Durban. So from there, I then went at sea, and I was a cadet. I was cruising all around the world, and the company was paying for that. So from that program, I then qualified as a deck officer. It's an SCCW qualification, and it affords me an opportunity to work anywhere in the world, and Transnet was paying. So and either you do the navigation part, which is deck side, or you can embark on the engineering side, whereby you'll be working in the oily space, in machinery space. So after completing my training, I then qualified as a deck officer. The company took me back because the program had completed. I then became a trainee tug master. I was driving those boats. After a year, I qualified as a tug master. And then while working as a tug master, I was offered an opportunity to then embark on a piloting program where the company again took me to Rotterdam to study piloting. So after I qualified as a junior pilot, I then worked for a year in the Port of Cape Town up until I was able to get my open license. An open license is that license that qualifies me to navigate any vessel, any ship, any size. Bring it to me, I will dock it for you. So I've been an open license pilot for almost 8 years now, and I am proud to be one of Transnet female pilots who've been servicing the company, who has invested in my education, in my qualification, in my career as a whole. So I really hope that some of you esteemed guests will be seeing you in our offices, will be seeing you in our boats, in our helicopters, joining this space so that you can venture and become the international people. Thank you, Chair. Back to you.
That insightful overview for the Harbour Masters Department. So now, as we have listened to Fungiwe, I'm going to open up the floor to our esteemed guests from the schools, as well as our panel, just to give insight or ask questions what they want to know, but I will start off. So, Mr. Sonti, I will come to you. So I've listened to Fungiwe speaking about the whole port operations. Where does, or what role does the Maritime Business Chamber play within the sector?
All right. No, thank you, Program Director, and greetings to our esteemed guests and those that are joining us online. The Maritime Business Chamber plays a role to be a voice and also to be, of an advocate for either opportunities, for policies within the maritime space. As you know, the first speaker, Ms. Tuli here, given us a presentation around the activities that talks to marine services inside the port. There are also other marine services now that talks to, individual businesses that either would do dry docking services, that means the repairs of the vessels that she's talking about, the pilot boats, the tugs, and those big ships as well. And also marine services talks to, those wet boats she spoke about that brings in crews or either, the crew that works for the various ships, either, from land to, sea. So those are some of the services. So the chamber then represents those businesses that partake in the activities that are outside of what, the Port Authority would be doing.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for this, Mr. Sonti. Anyone from the floor? Got a question? We've actually heard now as well that you can actually start your own business as well, and you can also take that gap within the maritime industry. So is there maybe anyone that wants to start a business in the logistics industry, maritime, you want to be part of the community? Anyone? Okay. I'll come back to you guys later on.
Yeah.
So I understand you guys are still shy, but I will come back to you later on. And we'll start with Kaisa. No, I'm just joking. Okay, so now we'll go back to Captain Londi. Captain Londi, are you there?
Aloha everyone, I'm here.
Hi, Captain. Thank you for joining us. I'm really excited for you to join us today. We are aware that you have been navigating not only the oceans, but also the challenges and opportunities that comes with leading the way for future mariners. So, Captain, the learners are ready to be inspired. Please take the helm and guide us through what it means to empower the mariners of tomorrow.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate the opportunity. Happy World Maritime Day, everyone. I am so excited to be sharing a stage, even though I'm at home, but I'm sharing a stage with my closest friends, Ugunati and Fungi Fantuli. I went to varsity with Fungi, that just presented to us, and I also am audible, right? Am I audible?
Yes. You are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes, you are.
thanks. I went to varsity with our pilot, and I am a business partner. So doing that today. So I just want to put tonight the importance of collaboration, of friendship, of walking the journey together to make sure that our becomes one very unified as we celebrate World Maritime Day. At first, when I was told to say the topic of today, I was just a little bit bored because the grown-up industry knows so much, they understand a lot. But then I heard but a bit more excited. So I want to see if Ngqura High School Day.
Ngqura High School?
Yes. Yeah.
No class, no senior
Yes.
You guys can make a noise, it's fine.
Yes. Yes, 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 they're here.
Hi.
Finally.
Thank you. You know, when I was home for my own school, I went to Port of Ngqura in Claremont in Durban. And every time they called my school, we did maritime studies. But we were very confused what maritime studies is. And we went to many events and saw many people in nice uniform and we saw beautiful craft, but we were very confused. Because first of all, we don't know what this industry is about. Second of all, there's this blondie here who's now suddenly got so many experts on her shoulders. And there's this Fundi who's speaking big words about being a senior pilot. Okay? So today I want to only talk to the youth. And I've prepared something very short for you that I hope we can unpack together. Can you help me present? Thanks. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
All right. So, my name is Nelson. Some call me Captain, and the youth call me the Black Lily. So I was also fortunate to do maritime studies at the Durban University, and later, in many months later, I got absorbed by the largest shipping company, Maersk Shipping Line. Thereafter, I came back to Africa with my first license. So when you see many stripes on people's shoulders, it resembles the number of licenses they have. Me and Miss Fundi have the same life, even though we come back on land the whole day at port operation. So I worked for Maersk Shipping Line for a long time. And then I joined Concert and became Africa's first female dredger. So on this slide, this is what we call a dredger. A dredger, when you go to the beach and you realize that the sand that you're standing on gets washed out by the ocean, that sand needs to be fed back so that we don't run out of sand at the beach, right? So the dredgers do that. They go deep sea to suck out fresh sand and put it back to the beach. And they also extend the harbor so that big ships can come in our harbor, in and out. This is Londi worked on those and she became Africa's first. But what does this mean? I want to share something with you that I want all of us to unpack. Where you are now, as a maritime studies student in high school, you will try by all means to understand as much as you can what opportunities are out there. Some of you may see me lonely and want to be a ship navigational officer. Some of you may see me full and say I want to be a senior marine pilot. Some of you may see me this and say I actually want to be a businessman. In maritime, all of that was not accessible. And so consider yourself very lucky to have sisters and brothers that are able to hold your hand. And thank you to Transit for organizing such an amazing event and put the youth at the center. I have a couple of friends that I want to share today just to lighten up and broaden maybe your worldview of ocean economy, maritime studies. What we want in lot of philosophy is to unpack the role of the future mariner. So mariners are people who work on board ships. Some wear uniform like mine, some wear overalls, some wear different kinds of suits depending on the kind of vessel that you're traveling. What we want is to have exceptional mariners coming from South Africa, walking the similar journey as we have walked, but the stakes are far much more higher. Why? Because South Africa doesn't have as many ships. And because we don't have that many ships, it means that we need to make sure that we expand our territory to international shipping companies. So how can we make sure that the international shipping companies hire our South African mariners, which is you guys? We need very disciplined students. We need students who will excel in their studies. We need students who will ask questions as much as they can. We need children that will be groomed with Ubuntu. Because where our love language is in South Africa, is that we are Ubuntu people, we are smart people, and we do everything we do. So let me paint a further picture with you. Our industry might have mariners, but our industry is far much more. This is Zandi. Zandi is a diver. She's my friend. We'll call her Sis Zandi. Some of the youth call her the Black Mermaid also. So Zandi is a diver. She comes from Soweto. She never knew how to swim growing up. And interestingly, her not knowing how to swim, you would think that even you sitting there not knowing how to swim, working on board ships and working with in the ocean must be hard, right? I'm sure you think so. But look at us today. Miss Fungi and I have worked on ships, and Zandi works as a diver. She goes deep into the ocean and dives with many species. She teaches us to take care of our oceans. She teaches us that the ocean is actually very friendly. It's hard to believe that the ocean is friendly. But we want you, celebrating World Maritime Day today, to understand the importance of loving our oceans. Even if there's no swimming pool at home for some of you, I never had a swimming pool growing up. Even if there's no swimming lessons in your school, I never had swimming lessons in my own school. We want to say, you are welcome. You have nothing to fear. When Sis Fungi showed you a slide, she showed you her journey of how she started her career. When she's finished varsity, like me, we get introduced to courses which are called ancillary courses. And these courses teach us how to save our lives. They teach us how to fight fires on board ships. So there's nothing to be scared of. Similar to Zandi, my friend, who is now a world-esteemed, a world-class diver. And that's so exceptional. And I want us to know that there's this opportunity at hand for us. So just 1 second, I want to take my... Now, this is my sister. Her name is Wendy Jani. She is a chef. She is a chef on board ships. She's a chef that's been working on board ships for the past 5 years. Her hobby is simple. She loves to cook. She went to study how to cook. And with that, she's been able to work on ships, cooking for different kinds of shipping lines. And I want to say to you, even if you do not become like a Sis Londi, even if you don't become like an engineer that you will be seeing today, even if you don't become like Sis Fungi or Mr. Sonti, there is a chef on board ships, and they form as an important part of our umbrella within the ocean's economy. She's my sister. She works on different cruise ships. Next, I want to share with you Mzi. Who here has seen Below Deck, the show on Netflix? Has anyone seen Below Deck on Netflix? Maybe, maybe not. So Mzi is on Below Deck. Mzi is on Below Deck. He works as a first officer. He started off as a deckhand. Now he is so famous, he works on Below Deck on these yachts. And yachts are very beautiful. Yachts go onto Caribbean and Mediterranean oceans, and they are just so luxurious and so beautiful. And he's from Cape Town, and he enjoys and loves his career but he is not on the big commercial ships that I come from. He comes from yachts. And it's amazing. You can also follow him and see his journey. And then I've got for you Miss Tando. Miss Tando Mazomba. Miss Tando Mazomba is also based in Cape Town, and she's an ocean scientist. Ocean scientist. What is beautiful is that you can see she looks like me and you. She looks like me and you, and she's an ocean scientist. What does that say? She's still part of our umbrella. She's still part of our ocean's economy. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you come from. And it doesn't matter whether or not you want to work on ships. What is important is that this industry has opportunities for you. But like we promised, we want disciplined, we want kids that know how to ask questions and ask any questions so we can be able to run our industry with Ubuntu. And then I want to share with you my friend. This is Ngobile Kuluse. She is a ship builder. Can you believe it? She builds ships. Her background is so vast, but now she's a ship builder. She works for SA Shipyards and she builds ships. It's mind-blowing. And interestingly, guys, all these people that I have shared with you, including the people in the room, are people that I'm able to refer to as friends. So the friends that you have with today are the friends that you need to cultivate the future with in making sure that our industry becomes the most friendliest, the most collaborative, and the most welcoming industry there ever was. What does this mean then? It means that for us to be able to groom, for us to be able to groom people like you, you have to understand where we come from. So first question, can someone tell me how this picture makes them feel? Just from the floor, anyone, can you please just answer this question? How does this picture make you feel? Sorry, I can't hear properly from the floor.
Sorry, when you introduce yourself, your name, surname, and your school.
Good day. Good day, everyone. My name is Melani. My surname is Sidyata. I go to Mother High School. This speech is very painful because when we went to Port Elizabeth, what I saw was beautiful ships. Now seeing a ship like this, it's really painful, and it looks like it cannot be saved anymore. Thank you.
Well done. Very good. The only thing that I want you and I to say when you get on board ship one day, you stood up, you held your mic, the only thing that was missing was for you to do your thing.
Captain Londi,
Yes.
we've got one from Katlehong that wants to speak as well,
Okay. Can I
from
just
our virtual
answer-
team from Gauteng.
Thank you. Okay. Can I just answer him before I forget? I'm so excited. I want to focus on one at a time. Is that okay? Thank you. So I was saying the only thing that was missing was for you to take off your hat. But thank you for answering that question. And I think that what is important is that you say you've seen beautiful ships and this one may be beyond repair. And this looks sad. And this looks like it cannot be saved anymore. I'll answer your question. I'll answer further your question after the second answer. Yes, my girl.
The ship makes me feel old because I think it takes a lot of time for that the ship should to be repaired because as you can see at the picture, it's broken, it's old, but if we can come together, we can build new ships so that we can have more ships so that they will travel around the world. Thank you.
Well done. What's your name?
Kiabetswe Molapo.
Thank you. So, the ladies that are sitting right in front there, my colleagues, we never thought that at our age we will beam with so much pride when we hear students answer. But right now we are much older because we're trying to groom more people like us to understand the industry. Let me tell you something about this picture. Someone said it's sad. It may look sad, but remember this lady, Snobile. She builds ships, which means she can take this wreck back into a shape and build it back to a beautiful ship. Whether it's through melting the metal that is still there, there's this lady who's an ocean scientist who can take that ship and tell you how far, many years it's been, what it was for, where did it get lost, what did it do then, what history does it come with. There's someone like this guy who will tell you that boats that are shaped like this are the ones that can go across from island to island to carry goods for them to come and bring them on ships. There is a person in that room, Mr. Unati Sondi, who's in business, from the business chamber, who will tell you that if you see that, you see money, because we want more wrecks in order for us to refurbish them into boats again and sell them for our community.
Think about
so what does this
safety
tell
in
us?
maritime.
Nothing is necessarily, nothing goes to waste. But thank you for that. I do want to share this one and want to find out from one person, how does it make them feel? Someone might be going, ooh. Can we have someone answering from the floor how this picture makes them feel?
Yeah. Name, surname, and school.
Greetings to the former audience. So I'm sitting with from Solomon Atlantic Secondary School. What I'm seeing in this picture is that I'm feeling happy because there's a cruise ship that can do its own work, which means to import and export goods, which is the people that are in the crew, which is the crew members. Thank you.
Okay, Captain, we've got another one in Katlehong. Sorry, we can't hear you if you're speaking. Okay, we can hear you now. Name, surname, and school.
Hello. Good day, ma'am. My name is Simpe Sibego. I'm from Katlehong Engineering School of Specialization. When I see this boat, I feel proud because it tells me that it's having a huge man, lots of money, and it's better than the old one because that one was ruined and messed up, but this one makes me happy, and I feel proud when I see this boat. Thank you.
Well done, guys. Well done. This picture resembles you. Vibrant. Fresh. bright, unified, innovative, agile. This picture to me says the future is bright. This picture to me says I want to be there, but now I'm old. But also this picture says this can be our next South African mariners navigating this ship. I love that the first student said crew members. When I was your age, I didn't even say crew members. I used to say people who work there. So it's even nice that you already know the terminology. So what this resembles is that there are beautiful ships. There are different kinds of ships. There are different kinds of vessels. And there are different kinds of careers. On board this ship, you can be a ship navigational officer. You can be a chef. You can be a singer. You can be a makeup artist. You can be a DJ. You can be a cleaner. You can be an electrician. You can so much more. You can be a teacher on board this ship. What is important is that the bigger the size of the ship, the more accommodative it is. And what I want you to know is that you need to research more about what the industry offers and what different kinds of vessels can offer. I won't ask you what this ship makes you feel like, but I want you to understand that some ships may give you a sense of fear. And some ships, like Miss Fungi will tell you, I've got a slide for the ships that she used to work on. Some ships will give you a sense of fear because ships are big, they are massive, and some come in different magnitudes, some come in different years. So some may look rusty and crusty, but what is important is what we're cultivating today, which is you, to bring lightness, brightness, smartness, innovation, and ubuntu in every vessel that you feel. This image here is of a young boy. And this young boy, I want you to imagine him as being you. If you are interested in this industry, I want you to know now that there will be a time where you have to say goodbye to your loved one. There will be a time where you have to say goodbye to your teachers, to your parents, and be away for the longest time, sometimes 3 months, sometimes 8 months. Maybe Miss Fungi can tell you, what's the longest you did, friend, on board ships? Yes, 9 months. Yeah, the longest I did was 9 months on one craft, only to be back for 1 month, come back to the ship 7 months, only to be back for 3 months. So this thing says to us, in welcoming this industry, we need to know that there are some careers that will require us to say goodbye to our loved one. And that's absolutely fine, because there will be time where we have to come back, and there will be time where we're able to just stand in tall and share what the industry has to offer. This picture is of the Titanic. Who of you have, show of hands, has anyone watched the Titanic here? Yay, most of you. Let not the Titanic make you fear the ocean. Let not the Titanic make you fear the ships. Because why I'm sharing this is because I want to share with you that we have world-class technology on board ships now. When Miss Fungi says she's a senior marine pilot, she navigates different kinds of ships. She knows different kinds of buttons on different kinds of ships that are able to make her job easier, instead of driving the ship like she's driving a car manually. So back then, technology might have not been that great, but nowadays our ships are world class. So much so that our ships can drive themselves, believe you me. So this is meant to take away the fear of anything that you might have watched on the Titanic, because I know it's the closest that we watched. In high school, I watched the Titanic and I almost didn't choose my career. So I want to diminish that immediately. Some of you may go on the Navy. The Navy, as we would see, the police on the land side, this is where our officers in the Navy work, and it's just as welcoming as a career. It's a beautiful option also. This is the ship that Miss Fungi learned how to drive a ship. These kinds of ships. Miss Ntuli, that was sitting there in front of you, learned how to navigate ships on board this. These are tankers. they are the most dangerous ships. They are explosive because they carry fuel, they carry gas. And this is where, at the age of 18, she started learning how to navigate ships. We were together at varsity, but I went to learn on how to navigate ships on container ships. She went on this one. What is important is that she made it possible, which means you two have nothing to fear. When you become a cadet, Transnet onboards you on these programs. You may end up in any shipping company. And I want you to know that nothing is impossible. It's actually magnificent that South Africans are able to enter into these territories. Mr. Sonti that is sitting there now, he owns some of these ships. He charters some of these ships. He speaks business with owners of these ships. So amazing just how South Africa is so diverse and how your brothers and sisters are ready to receive you within the industry. This is a fishing trawler. If you eat fish, I needed to show you this. It comes from deep sea, comes from many other fishing trawlers. These people are fishermen. And it's a full operation that comes from big ships to give us sardines, to give us oysters, to give this. Did you see the presentation at the beginning? It gives us all kinds of species that come from under the sea. And this is a beautiful operation that has opportunities for you too. I have many friends that work in this industry as well, in the fishing industry as well, that will tell you stories about this. Tando will be sitting in the scientific laboratory. That's the lady that I showed you earlier. So what is important about all of this? What is important is that it may look extremely hard, but there are brothers and sisters that sit in government, that sit at Transnet, that sit at the private sector, Sis Londi, Sis Fungi, Mr. Sonti, everybody is ready to hold your hand. Everyone is ready to make sure that they take away the fear that you might have. But the most important thing is that you have to keep one promise. You will take care of the ocean. That's the one role that we ask of you. Because if Sis Londi is a black mermaid, if Sis Zandi, the diver, is a black mermaid, it means we by all means need to keep the ocean clean. And in keeping the ocean clean, simply says when you go to the beach, do not litter. And anywhere you go, do not litter. That's how you start to become a true mariner. And that's how you start being recognized as one of the future Transnet students to come and become part of this industry. Do not litter. I beg you. It's the schools are closed. December holidays are approaching. Do not litter. Pick up the paper after you and clean after yourself, because the ocean needs you to be responsible. Now, Sis Londi has been back from ships. Sis Londi now runs her own oceans economy company. Sis Londi runs Global Maritime Youth. Sis Londi is all over the world talking about many, many topics. And Sis Londi has made a channel for you called Unlocking Oceans Economy with Captain Londi. And I know that you have data, sometimes you don't, but I want you to subscribe so you can see people that may not be present today teaching you about different things. Unlocking Oceans Economy with Captain Londi Ngobo. We will be able to unpack more things about days like this. From myself to everyone else that is rooting for you, I want to say, claim your captaincy, my little captain. And from the IMO, which is our mother, they have a message for you that I wish we can play. My colleagues will now play the video from our authority.
The Convention for Safety of Life at Sea, or SOLAS, is one of the first things that comes to mind. 2024 marks 50 years since the treaty was adopted. We can be proud of the crucial role that this convention has played in setting international safety standards for ships' construction, equipment, and operation, preventing maritime disasters and protecting lives. But we cannot be complacent. This year's World Maritime Day theme, Navigating the Future, Safety First, calls for the collective effort to ensure we keep pace with the ongoing transformation in shipping. At IMO, we must
Thank you, Captain Londi, for that inspiring message that you gave to for our future mariners. I'm sure it didn't go unnoticed, and I'm sure it is actually inspired young future mariners here inside the Mendi building, as well as our team virtually attending in Gauteng. Now, as we continue to navigate the future of maritime, this crucial element of can never be overlooked. Our responsibility is to protect the environment. Globally, ports play a critical role in trading. However, they also have an impact on the environment. In this engagement, we have Zukizwa Magidela, Manager of Sustainability here in TNPA. She will guide us through how our port operations are adapting to reduce environmental footprint and ensure a sustainable future for generations to come. Zukizwa, over to you. Take us through this important topic, the protection of the environment and its impact on our operations. Please give her a round of applause.
You guys look tired. Why are you tired? You don't look very excited to be out of the classroom for a change.
Magidela. I'm the Environmental Operations and Sustainability Manager at TNPA Head Office. I joined Head Office just over a year ago, but maybe just as a brief background of how I got here, I come from a small town, rural town in the Eastern Cape called Bizana. That's where I'm originally from, but I live and work in PE for work. I studied environmental science at school, so when I was your age, my favorite subject was geography. And after matric, I left thinking I'm going to become a geologist. I was told there's lots of money there, so I thought, yeah, I'm gonna do this thing. Got my A, went to varsity, and I'm gonna become a black geologist. I got there and I found it extremely boring. And so I switched my majors, and I majored in botany, which is the study of plants, as well as geography. I'm currently actually completing my honors degree as well. So that is how I got here. So I am an environmentalist, and that is what I do for the business. I like to think of myself as a consultant. So you've heard all the cool things that Transnet does. So as part of the bursaries that Fungi spoke about earlier, you can also be a bursar for your studies in environmental management. So when the time comes for you, make sure you look out for those opportunities if you are interested in environmental management, so that you can join the Transnet team. In terms of the operations, you guys saw the video of the ships coming in, and we import, export, but there's a lot of other things that happen behind the scenes that don't necessarily look as cool as being lifted in a helicopter like Fungi. But it still is an interesting job for us to do. So I'm sure as part of preparing for your presentations later, you guys would have read quite a bit about managing risks. And one of the big risks globally at the moment is climate change. And TNPA currently has a very well-documented process and framework on how we identify the risks that impact our business. So one of our top risks in the business is currently climate change, in line with what's happening across the world. And that is something you guys are going to touch on later, so I'm looking forward to hearing what you have come up with. And I'll be definitely taking notes and presenting your suggestions to our leadership. We might be able to learn a thing or two from what you're going to share with us today. So our business, bringing in the ships, has a lot of environmental risks or what you guys would understand at school as environmental impacts. So my role in the business is to make sure that those operations are done in an environmentally sustainable manner. I'm sure you guys have learned about sustainable development, and that has actually evolved into sustainability. So sustainability is no longer just about the environment. The environment is only a small part of sustainability. So besides us managing our impacts, environmentally speaking, we also want to support the business in making sure that our business decisions and our reach is sustainable. Is TNPA going to be around in 100 years' time? Are your grandchildren going to be mariners in 100 years' time? So my role is to ensure that I advise the business and provide guidance to make sure that your great-grandchildren in the future are being lifted in a helicopter, and you guys are building ships and are part of the Black Mermaid gang. So that is just an overview of what we do. So a number of other risks besides climate change that we have that emanate from the type of work that we do include loss of biodiversity. When you develop a project or when the ports are expanding and when you're developing a new port, you are going to disturb the natural environment. So how are you going to do that? Is it done in a way that is not detrimental to the environment? We also have the management of alien invasive species. So shipping, by its nature, because ships come from different countries across the world, you have different species that are endemic to those parts of the world. So by moving ships in different waters, you are inevitably likely to introduce different types of species that are not necessarily naturally occurring within our South African waters. So that is a risk that comes with the type of work that Transnet does. And on top of that, as part of the work that some of Mr. Santi's colleagues are also interested in doing in the ports, we want to make sure that that work is done in a manner that is not going to introduce additional species. So one of them is in water hull cleaning activities, where they want to bring in ships and maintain them while they're in South African waters and the like. So we want to make sure that that is done correctly, that we have monitoring mechanisms in place to allow people to provide those services for the shipping lines. A lot of the times in the past, environmentalists are always deemed to delay projects or development. That's not necessarily the case. The industry has grown in such that it's important for us to be able to guide how to do those activities. So we want to support those businesses. We want those activities to happen, but we don't want to have catastrophic consequences by not doing it in a manner that is going to protect the environment. I'm sure you guys have watched movies where you have a crop or a field that is infested with locusts, and there's just an outbreak and people lose those crops. So similarly, if we were to have an outbreak of an invasive marine species, we would definitely be in trouble. So we need to make sure we manage that situation very closely so that we don't have any catastrophic impacts, because if you don't know what is in your waters, you also don't know what the potential impacts are going to be. So we don't want to make things worse. Hence, we need to make sure that we are always keeping a very close eye on what we're doing and what the impacts of that is. Okay. Another impact that we have is water scarcity. So we know South Africa is a water scarce country, and one of the services that TNPA provides to the vessels that come in and out of our waters is to provide them with water, safe, clean water. How do we make sure that we're using those resources in a manner that is going to make sure that the country is not suffering, and also that the vessels we're bringing in and out are getting good quality water and we have access to that water? You guys will remember day zero. You guys remember you had to use a bucket per person per day. You remember seeing the dam levels go down. So we were also in trouble. We needed to come up with solutions to make sure that the people who work in the buildings have enough water We also needed to make sure that when those vessels come in, we are able to provide them with adequate water. So a lot of things happen in the background that you don't always see, that we need to make sure that there's just a sustainable supply of good quality water. And with that, we have a water quality monitoring program for both potable water and our marine water to make sure that the quality is in line with the legislated standards. Besides being a consultant for the business, I'm also sort of the SAPS of the business, working together with our legal and compliance department to make sure that the organization remains compliant to our legislation. So South Africa is very fortunate. We have some of the best crafted pieces of legislation in the world. So those of you who want to be lawyers, environmental law is also something you can look into. So we have 3 core pieces of legislation that we are required to comply with. You have the Constitution. You know, everyone has a right to. Can anyone finish the sentence for me? In section 24, I see there's a hand up there. Okay, we've got education. Anyone else? So in the Constitution, it says everyone has a right to an environment that is not harmful or detrimental to their well-being. And that is the first one. The second one is the National Environmental Management Act, NEMA. Do you guys know what NEMA is? Okay, so NEMA is a piece of legislation in South Africa called the National Environmental Management Act, and that is where we get the mandate that we need to protect the environment. So it also applies to you. So when Captain Londi said, please don't litter or let's protect the ocean, it is because it is required by law. It is not a favor we're doing for the turtles. The paper straws that you guys hate so much, it is required by law that we are cognizant of the type of materials we're using to prevent what washes down into the ocean. Okay, and then the third one is the National Ports Act. So the ports are special. We have a very specific piece of legislation that speaks to the management, development, and operations of our port environment. And in that act, there are specific sections that speak to TNPA protecting the environment. Okay, so those are the 3 pieces of legislation that I am required to make sure the business complies to. All right. And then in terms of climate change, you guys need to read about the IPCC, which is an international intergovernmental panel on climate change. So they sit regularly and issue reports that update us on the status quo of climate change issues across the world. You may not know, but as of July 2024, the President has officially passed the Climate Change Act, which we are now legally obligated to comply to. So climate change is not only going to be a nice to have, it is now a legal requirement for us to work towards coordinating climate change related activities. All right, so climate change is split into adaptation and mitigation. So we want to make sure we build ports that are going to be able to sustain us through the climate change impacts that we are anticipating. As Captain Londi also spoke about collaboration. Collaboration is very important. I think the unique position that we find the ports in puts us in a unique position as well to collaborate. We've got the municipalities that we need to collaborate with. We've got the industry that we need to collaborate with. And all of that needs to be done in line with the country's economic state. We all know that there are resource challenges across the country. TNPA is not unique to that as well. So when you see the reports that we don't like to read about, we are also then impacted in terms of how we are able to perform and respond to some of the work that we are required to do. So if we're able to collaborate with external parties towards achieving a common goal, and that is what we need to do, and that is clearly documented in that Climate Change Act. I'm going to stop there for now. I'll take any questions.
Thank you. Thank you. informative, very insightful as to when we look at the port. For me, on a daily, I look at the port when the vessels comes in, and I see, smoke coming out of their chimneys and all of that. And I'm thinking, you're speaking about environment, keeping go green and all of that. So, do they use coal or do they use petrol, oil? What do these vessels use to move around? I need to know.
In the first world countries that are far more developed, they are using cleaner fuels. But I think for us specifically in TNPA, our vessels at the moment, and most of our vessels are using a diesel, low sulfur. So in our procurement, we recently got a fleet of tugs. So in those tugs, one of the requirements was that it needs to be a low sulfur fuel which emits lower carbon emissions. So for TNPA, air pollution is also one of our risks, but it doesn't emanate necessarily from shipping. Our air pollution comes mostly from the operations, from us handling various commodities in the ports. I think Angie will touch a bit on that one, on the different types of commodities that we may handle in some of the ports. So those commodities will emit dust, so we need to make sure that that dust is not harmful to the people who are working on those vessels, to the people who are working in the port, and anyone who's managing that commodity from the time it either enters or exits the port. So we do look into that. And VTS, Fungi mentioned the vessel traffic control. They are also our eyes and ears. So an example I'll make is if I'm sitting in the office and I can see that there's ongoing stack emissions from the vessels, I am able to call port control and ask them what's happening. They then contact the vessel, the captain, to find out what's going on. There are rules around how long the vessels need to be emitting stack emissions for, and if they exceed that time, we're able to then call them out just to make sure that the ambient air quality in our ports is not exceeded or degraded in any way. So that is just an example of how we manage some of the air quality issues we do experience in the port.
Thank you, Zuki. Any questions from the floor? Okay, we've got a question here. Do we have questions online as well? Name, surname, school? Oh.
I'll also introduce to myself again. I'm Sithengo Sindamo from Solomon Secondary School. As Ma'am has attached about invasive alien species, which is it's the major problem that we're facing in our blue economy, which is our ocean biodiversity. So what are we gonna do to stop I would say the increase of the invasive alien species?
Okay, I don't know if you guys got the question. Did you hear the question? Okay, so the question is, I mentioned the invasive alien species, so what are we going to do about that? So at the moment, as a country, we don't really have mechanisms in place as yet to manage that particular risk. There is currently a project that TNPA is involved in, that is together with the Department of Environmental Affairs, with the Border Management Agency, that is looking to investigate some of those options into how we can monitor what comes into our shores to make sure that we are not carrying whatever comes on those containers or whatever cargo is not carried inland. So besides the marine environment, what are we actually carrying in those containers that can possibly have an impact to where it's going? You guys know about Shein, you know about Temu. Some of that stuff comes in through containers. So are we sure that we're not bringing in anything from those Asian countries that should not be in our country? It is a challenge. Countrywide, in fact globally, some countries are more advanced. I know in countries like the Seychelles, they have very strict measures in terms of how they accept cargo that comes in. Because they're a small island, they cannot afford to have anything disrupt their ecosystem, because they are a very, very small island. So we hope to learn from countries like that, so that when we do develop those mechanisms and do develop policies and legislation that speaks to that, we are able to do so in line with global requirements as well.
Thank you. Thank you for the question and as well as your input on it. So next up, let's shift our focus to an equally important topic: revenue generation at our ports. Our ports are the lifeblood of trade and commerce, and it's critical to know how we can continue to grow and which key commodities can lead us to the desired growth. We have Angelique Swarboy here next to me. Welcome, Angelique. Angelique is the manager of customer relations, who will take us through this topic on showing us how we can make money, which way we can go, and how it can stay within the country, you know, growing our economy. Angelique?
Oh, thank you so much, Ronaldo. So, as the speakers earlier said, this year is actually 20 years since I finished high school. My gosh, I feel old. But yeah, I think you guys are so privileged to have opportunity. I think 20 years ago, I myself didn't have this opportunity to come to, TNPA and learn about what's happening in the business world, etc. You just had to go and study something and you didn't know what was what. So this is, I think it's a very great initiative from TNPA. So I'm Angelique Swarboy, also known as Angie. I work in the customer relations department, so I am on the land side operations, as I call it, dealing with customers to make sure, that our customers are happy and satisfied, doing business within the ports. So in terms of I just prepared a short presentation. I think on the next slide, the port overview within the context of South Africa, we've got 8 commercial ports. So yeah, next slide, guys. Yeah, next one. So those are our ports. We've got the eastern region, which is your Durban and Richards Bay, and then central region, which we are based in. It's Port of East London, Port of Ngqura, and Port of PE. And then western region comprises of Mossel Bay, Cape Town, and Saldanha. So if we look at the next slide, I'm going to be concentrating on the Port of Ngqura. I'm responsible for the managing of the customer relations for these 2 ports. So if we look at the Port of Ngqura, we have got about 7 berths at this port. The 2 main commodities that we do is containers. You'll see across when you go out onto the port tour, we've got the Ngqura container terminal. So the container terminal, it is for the import and export of containers. So all those Shein and Temu items, it comes either via this port, as well as we do liquid bulk, so that's the import, our STS operations. And then we've got one of our biggest commodities here, which is dry bulk. It's manganese. So we export manganese. South Africa is one of the largest producers of manganese exports. Manganese, you might think it looks like black rocks. Basically, it is used to manufacture steel, etc. And then a lot of, we actually export to China. And then a lot of our, what manganese is actually used for, it's for, you'll see a lot of buildings in China, so it's used in the construction industry, so that's what manganese is used for, and it comes from the mines in the Northern Cape. And then also we do the cement imports. There's a factory right outside here, which is the Semza factory. That's one of our customers. So we do the import of clinker that they actually then manufacture cement. And then also wind turbines. So that's renewable energy. So you'll see big wind turbine blades that gets imported through the Port of Ngqura. It's a very big commodity here, and we call that commodity break bulk. So it's containers, it's manganese, it's break bulk, and dry bulk. And then in the next slide, Port of PE, as they said, it was built 200 years ago. I was not born yet. So that port, we have about 11 berths, and in that port, the biggest commodity that we export and import is our automotives. One of our biggest customers is VW, you know, the plant in Kariga. So VW manufactures, it's the only one in the world now that manufactures the VW Polo. So the Polo gets manufactured at the VW plant in, I think this thing, yeah. It gets manufactured at the VW plant here in Kariga, and then they road haul it from the plant. It comes to the Port of PE, and thereafter it will then go and it goes on board a ship, and those are then exported through to the European countries. Similarly, cars that are not manufactured locally, it then gets imported through the Port of PE as well, and then it gets distributed. Some of the others that we do is containers, similarly to as the containers gets imported and exports, as well as manganese also, but manganese mostly gets done through the Port of Ngqura, as well as, you know, we do the importing and exporting of citrus fruit. So citrus fruit in the Port of Cape Town, it always gets done from, it comes from the farms, and then it gets, you know, exported, because that's where fruits are produced mostly. But also the Eastern Cape is very well known for citrus fruits, which is your oranges, your nachis, etc. So those then gets exported through the Port of PE. Recently, we also had it exported through the Port of Ngqura. Also like wheat and maize and grain, etc. also gets imported through those ports. So how does TNPA then derive its money? I mean, last year our revenue was 732 million. We are regulated by the Ports Regulator of South Africa. So the role of the Ports Regulator is to ensure that our tariffs remains competitive, and then also it's fair pricing across. So what we'll do is every year we'll do a application to the Ports Regulator, whereby we ask for, it will be based on our volumes. So each commodity has got its own price. For example, a container, a full container that gets imported through from another country into the port, it's about 1,874 per container. Similarly, the port of, in terms of manganese, so each commodity has got its own pricing. So for manganese, for example, it's 10 Rand 5 cents to export a ton of manganese. Now, these tariffs are all regulated through the Ports Regulator, which is an independent organization. So TNPA then needs to apply for a tariff every year, open to the public then, you know, to comment, etc. And I think last year, you know, everyone needs to, so every year that happens, so that, you know, as TNPA, we don't overcharge users, etc., port users particularly. I think one of the things also where Mr. Sonti is a big part of is also the fishing industry. So the fishing industry, we've got the fishing vessels in the Port of PE. I actually learned that, you know, the fishing guys actually, they make a lot of money, you know, because the port, well, Algoa Bay, I found out that calamari gets, this is the best place where you can get calamari, yet we can't eat it because it all gets exported, right? And they can do up to 60,000 tons on those fishing vessels. And I asked one of the guys that owns a boat, so what is the money like? He's like, I can make up to 5 million with one boat, you know, like 5 million. And we think that, you know, these fisher guys, no, they just go and fish in the ocean, but we don't know how much money and value is there. So roughly, yeah, that's what I do. And yeah, I make money. In the words of Kanye Mbao, money loves me. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for giving the reflection on the port commodities and revenue generation that we are in. Yeah, I believe that there are so many opportunities now in the port. As I've heard from you, even I didn't think like people make that much money with just fishing. So now I understand why guys get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and they go to Swartbox or they go to wherever they find themselves to catch fish because they can make money. Now, Mr. Sonti, what are your thoughts on this?
Look, there's quite a number of opportunities, but I think this presentation, remember, it's mainly about the revenue that, you know, the Ports Authority derives from all the activities that they have, and also including the leasing of the land or the buildings that they have within the ports. That's how, you know, they get the, you know, some of their revenues. But also in all of that, it's got a number of opportunities, whether for one in terms of a career, because now people can see even from the presentation from Captain Londi as well that there are vast, you know, quite a number of careers. We just look at, you know, the port or the ocean in terms of, especially where we grew up from, you know, for us it's just for swimming. But there's quite a number of other activities that one can build a career from, and also in terms of, you know, inside the port as well. But with all these activities that the port derives its revenue from, it's activities that one can also venture into and be a client, you know, to the port or a customer to the port as well, in offering all those. So all these ships that are here, they also, when she says a berth, that space where that ship parks, it's a parking, you know, space, you know, parking bay for you to load and unload. You need to pay them for that, you see. And you can also be, so in all of those, there are also agents. There are people who load those things there, which are called, you know, stevedores, you know, some of them are crane operators. So there's quite a number of opportunities that can be unpacked. And one, if within the tour that they would do as well, if they can go, you know, please ask questions. Ask what is the role of that one, or, you know, what type of qualifications do I need to have? Because some of them, it may be, you know, some of these STCW related courses that you would need to do. For some, you would really need also, you know, some time at sea for you to be able to be at a certain level. So there's quite a number, you know, a lot of opportunities. And again, I think when Ms. Tuli here was sitting, she said, you know, we are grateful for this opportunity because we never got this opportunity. There, I see there, Utaskara there at the back. We went to a technical school, and for us, looking at the port itself, it was one of those jobs where, you know, we sweat that we wouldn't want to be part of this environment, not knowing, because they were regarded as the apartheid, you know, type of works, not knowing that there's quite a number of opportunities, and one can, whatever that you are passionate about, you can be able to apply it, and either as a career or in business as well.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Santi. Any questions from the floor? Any questions from the floor? Any input from our panel? Zuki?
I think for us, it's, again, all the commodities that Angie has spoken about, you need to make sure that you are closely managing those impacts. So we want to see Angie's volumes go up. We want to see the money come in, because we do see a difference in the economy, and obviously we're going to benefit from that. But we want to make sure that when Angie's clients are actually working in the port, are they complying to environmental regulatory requirements? Are they making sure their employees that are working on the port's premises doing so safely? Are we complying to the health and safety requirements of the country? So it's not just looking at how green the operations are, but we also want to make sure that we're creating those employment opportunities by increasing those volumes. So we are not against, we support. Hence, I said I'm a consultant to the business. So we want to work together with the other departments to make sure that we realize the benefits of all that the ports have to offer. Thanks.
Thank you. Fungiwe, from an operations point of view?
Thank you, Donald. I think also to add, from the operation space, we work as an integrated team. It's not only the harbor master that ensures efficiencies in our operations. We have CRM key that looks after our customer. We have Uzuki that looks after our sustainability of our environment. We have our PSOs, port security officers, that ensures safety not only of the employees but of our customers, of our visitors, the vessels that visit our ports. We have actually port development departments that ensures that we develop as an authority that looks into expansion, that looks into perhaps having other ports within the South African ports along the coast. So there are various departments within the divisions, within the Transnet, within the ports, that ensures that as the whole, when we work together, we are able to not only offer services to our customers, but also to ensure the economical sustainability to the country, because as Uzuki mentioned earlier, we want to see our country sustained even in the years to come. Our children's the next generation. So we must make it in a way that there will be ports in 100 years to come that are sustainable and that is growing our South African economy forward. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. As the campaign that I was part of in 2011 for Transnet as a whole, the slogan was "Keep Moving." So some of you might have been around, some, but we went across all the ports, TE, TFR. So I'm still seeing that as "Keep Moving," and that advert is still playing in my head just to see the operation side. So now I also know that it's a very integrated organization, so no man is an island in this organization. We all work together for the betterment of the country and the economy of South Africa.
True.
Okay, so now we've come to the end of our first half of the sessions, and we're just going to take a 10-minute break, and then we will set up, and then we'll give over to our grade 10 learners who will be talking about their projects and the assignments that they got. The topic was, what action should corporate South Africa take to combat climate change and its impact? So during those 10 minutes, our schools, our learners will get themselves ready, and then we can start again.
Thank you.
Do we stay for that?
I don't. I have to stay.
1, 2.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that 10-minute break. Now it's time for one of the most exciting part of the day. We will be hearing from our grade 10 learners as they present on an important topic. What action should corporate South Africa take to combat climate change and its impact? These young voices are the leaders of tomorrow. We are excited to hear their fresh ideas on how we can all play a part in addressing the issue of climate change. Each school will have 10 minutes to present their ideas, and we have a panel of judges who will give feedback after each presentation, and at the end the judges will announce which school gave the best presentation. Now, with any other further ado, let me introduce our judges. First up, we've got Ms. Magidela. Mr. Sonti.
Let's explore.
And Mrs. Nkampini. So what will our judges look for in this presentation? Our judges will look for creativity. So all of those guys who did, creative arts, yeah, you can also make use of it. I hope you guys made use of it. Clarity. When you present, is it concise? Is it to the point? Or are there still loopholes? Is there still information you needed to get? And then is it actionable ideas, something that we can actually implement in our environment as well? So remember, you've got 10 minutes to present, and that's all you've got. I can be, generous just with 1 minute extra. But we've also got someone who will time you on those 10 minutes. So without any further ado, let's give up for the first school. Give them a round of applause for Sokaisa Senior Secondary School. Who's the speakers? Well, you'll also be talking.
I'm sorry. Now some colors.
A very good afternoon to everyone in the room. My name is Thandolo Tumoko, and I'm here with my teammates, Ilita Khasmeni, Mimi Natitoisi, Ozamkia, Sipesihle Ndumo, and we have Sinesipon Kasai, Alu Veplakis, Siana Nseto, and back here we have our supporters. So we are really, really excited to address the pressing global issue, which is climate change. So the word refers to the warming of the planet due to the increasing global temperatures caused by human activities that release greenhouse gases, such as the burning of fossil fuels or deforestation and land use changes. So as future leaders and stakeholders at Corporate SA, it's imperative we acknowledge our role in mitigating the climate change and its devastating impacts. So climate change has significant risks in our economy, ecosystem, and community. The rising temperatures, the intensifying natural disasters, and also the unpredictable weather patterns demand our urgent attention. Our presentation will explore the actionable strategies for corporate SA to combat climate change and also to implement a sustainable future for our nation and for our world. I thank you.
Thank you, Mugu. So I'll be on the impact of marine life caused by climate change. Climate change significantly impacts marine life, affecting various aspects of ocean ecosystems. Rising sea temperatures and acidification, coral reefs, kelp forests, and other habitats, disrupting the delicate balance of marine life. This in turn forces the species to migrate poleward or into deeper waters in search for living conditions. Changes in the ocean temperatures and chemistry impacts marine life also, marine food chains also, with climate-driven shifts in ocean plants and ocean animals population affecting the whole entire food web. Warmer waters facilitate the spread of disease among the marine species, while expanded low oxygen areas known as ocean dead zones, that suffocate marine life. Climate change also disrupts the breeding and the spawning patterns, threatening the survival of vulnerable species.
And climate change has far-reaching impact beyond marine life. Affecting our planet. Human health is also severely affected with high rising impact of human health is also affected with high rising impact of heat temperatures. Climate change is also damaging our infrastructure such as roads, buildings, and bridges, resulting to the loss of property and economic productivity.
I thank you. Climate change has environmentally, climate change has increased a lot of things in our lives. Okay, climate change has I thank you. Climate change has increased the droughts, the storms, changes in precipitation, and also the loss in identity. Socially, the climate change has also increased the socially, climate change has
moreover, economically, climate change, it causes damages to infrastructure, property, loss in productivity, and economic growth. So climate change has increased healthcare costs. Also the impact in tourism and recreation, and strains in the social services and emergency responses. So here in South Africa, climate change manifests as droughts and water, and also in Durban, there is flooding. In Eastern Cape, there is water scarcity, also in Western Cape. In Limpopo and Northern Cape, there are heat waves. So these events have a devastating impact in agriculture and also in food security. So the time to act is now. So let's work together to prevent climate change and ensure sustainable future for South Africa. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mbuma. To further add on, we come about to present the solutions and acts that we advise corporate SA to take on. So corporate SA can invest in renewable energy through various methods. One approach is by installing solar PVC systems on the rooftops or through ground-mounted installations. Another option is investing in wind energy, either by purchasing wind-generated electricity or partnering with wind farm developers. So, add more further to this. Companies can also buy renewable energy certificates to offset their energy consumptions or sign long-term power purchase agreements to secure renewable energy supplies. Additionally, investing in energy storage systems such as batteries can optimize solar and wind energy usage by adopting renewable energy and sustainable supply chain practice. CSA can reap numerous benefits. Those include reduced energy cost and carbon emission. I thank you.
Moreover, ships can use less fuel when at ports by switching off their generators and connecting to local electricity grids. This technique, which also reduces air pollution, is called shore power. Norway, the USA, and China leads in implementing shore power. So corporate South Africa can implement this action, even though it may cost, its infrastructure is costly, but it has great outcomes like reducing greenhouse gases and when those emissions are reduced, that means less greenhouse gases are released into the atmosphere, mitigating climate change and its effects. As Ms. Suki said, introducing South Africa to use cleaner fuels was one of our actions. All spills. Oh, sorry. Okay, thank you.
In conclusion, climate change poses significant challenges to the shipping industry, but also presents opportunities for growth, innovation, and leadership. Corporate SA has a critical role to play in mitigating climate change impacts. And remember,
Be part of the solution, not part of the pollution.
Wait. Stand still. Come back. Give another round of applause for Kaisa. Thank you. Some of us almost fainted, but we're still alive. We're still breathing. So now over to our judges, just to give feedback to our esteemed guests. We'll start with Ms. Magidela.
I hope it's not us who are making you guys so nervous. Did really well. I'm glad to see that some of you were actually listening to the presentations and are actually able to link what you prepared to what you heard here today. I think next time your time is limited, so maybe have a smaller team to help you manage your time. And yeah, well done.
Mr. Sonti? Okay. Thank you. You can take your seats. And up next, we've got Solomon Mashlango High School from the Place of Beauty, Kwanaboshle. Please come to the front. Give them a round of applause.
Firstly, I would like to start off by greeting our esteemed judges, the teachers, the learners, and the team. Sitting in front of you all is Ivram Lele from Solomon Mahlangu Senior Secondary School, and I am honored today to be presenting alongside my co-presenter, Lupumelo Yini. So, as we navigate the future of the maritime industry, safety remains paramount. Safety remains paramount. So today we're going to explore how corporate South Africa can contribute to mitigate climate change. So climate change poses significant risk to global maritime trade, infrastructure, and African coastal communities, and also to the environment. So climate change poses significant risk to global maritime trade, African coastal communities, and also the environment. With intensified storms, rising sea levels, and also ocean acidification. All these factors threaten maritime safety, infrastructure, and also ecosystems. So corporate South Africa's carbon footprint contributes substantially to these issues, emphasizes the need for immediate action. To address this, corporate South Africa can take concrete steps aligned with the IMO, International Maritime Organization strategy, transitioning to 100% renewable energy by 2030, implementing energy efficient practices, and also developing renewable supply chain management. By doing so, this will reduce greenhouse gas emission and will ensure a safer and more sustainable future. Successful implementation requires establishing a climate change task force to oversee the progress and also to engage with stakeholders. And also what it can also help to reduce climate change is by educating stakeholders more about climate change and its impact to the environment. So by prioritizing climate action, corporate South Africa will contribute to the IMO's goals, reducing greenhouse gas emission from international shipping by 50% by 2050 and enhancing maritime safety. We urge corporate South Africa to navigate the future with safety first, embracing sustainability and practice mitigation climate change. So let us unite in this effort, promoting a safer and more sustainable future in the maritime industry. We as learners commit to advocate to our communities about climate change, educating more people about climate change. It can make a significant impact in our lives. So thank you. Now I'll be passing to Michael.
Greetings to everyone that is with us today. I'll be presenting suggestions and stuff that we could use to somehow help what my partner has said. One, we could start with energy efficiency. Under energy efficiency, what we could do is transition to renewable energy resources, implement energy efficient lighting and equipment. By transition, I mean like we could change to using more renewable energy resources, and by using actually energy lighting and equipment. Next, being sustainable practices, that being reduce, reuse, recycle waste management, and implement sustainable supply chain practices. Thirdly, being waste conservation, install water efficient fixtures and systems, monitor and reduce water usage. Fourthly, being transportation, by promoting electrical or hybrid company vehicles. To my additional content, another thing that we could do is focus more on agriculture. How we could do that is implement regenerative agricultural practices, reduce synthetic fertilizers, and promote sustainable livestock management. Going to mining, seeing that we also use it, we could adopt renewable energy, reduce water usage, and implement many other systems that we could use to help the mining sector. Thirdly, being clean tech, we could invest in renewable energy, energy storage, and smart grid technologies. Also start by building green buildings, design and construct energy efficient, sustainable buildings. And in closing, corporate South Africa has a critical role to play in mitigating climate change. By implementing sustainable practices, reducing energy consumption, and promoting eco-friendly policies, companies can significantly minimize their carbon footprint. And that being said, what we could do is reduce, reuse, recycle. Thank you.
Solomon Mashlangu, thank you, thank you, thank you. Wow, that's all I can say is wow. In fact, they actually used words that I've never heard before, and I was like, yo? No? Mr. Sonti?
I think let's give them a round of applause again. I think in terms of, the previous suggestion with regards to utilizing maybe few of the representatives, I think they've worked out, that very, very well. And also in terms of, the research and the understanding of the topic, I think, they did their research very well, and the alignment that they've done. Probably, it's just one when you are to speak publicly, just to pace yourself and just relax. But also, I think you need to be commended in terms of your time management as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. You can have a seat. Solomon Mashlangu from the Place of Beauty. Up next, we are going to Motherwell. Please give a round of applause for Kungani High School. It's fine, you can make a noise. Cheer up your school. Yes, here we go.
A very good morning to everyone. My name is Mantlam Tati and I attend Tsangani High School. Today I'm discussing corporate South Africa's critical role in combating climate change. As one of the country's largest economic drivers, the corporate sector actions significantly impact our environment. Climate change is primarily caused by human activities such as burning fossil fuels, deforestation, industrial processes, transportation, agriculture, and poor waste management. Industries like mining, energy production, transportation, agriculture, and manufacturing contribute to climate change through greenhouse gas emissions, resource extraction, waste management, supply chain emission, and energy consumption. As a result, climate change affects us all, with South Africa already experiencing a rise in temperature, increased droughts and floods, water scarcity, and biodiversity loss. However, businesses can make a positive impact by taking climate action. They can save money through energy efficiency, improve their reputation, follow laws and regulations, reduce operational costs, and enhance their brand reputation. Thank you.
To take action, South African businesses can transition to solar and wind power, implement energy efficient practices, work with sustainable suppliers, and develop sustainable supply chain. It is essential to note that businesses must comply with existing laws and regulations.
Okay, it is essential to note that business should comply with existing laws and regulation, including National Environmental Management Act and National Climate Change Response Policy and Carbon Tax Act 2019. Climate change affects ecosystem and human health. Collaboration with government is also crucial. Businesses should support creating climate policies, for climate research, advocate for climate action.
Combating climate change requires teamwork. Businesses, businesses can make significant difference by reducing risk, creating opportunities, helping our planet, and driving innovation. Today's text is climate change is real. It's happening now. It's up to us to act. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Mrs.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Cingani, I think the first thing that I will say to them, they managed to compose themselves. They managed to overcome fear, which is good because that is not easy. Also, I'm happy that they also mentioned the X that they want us to refer to. So thank you very much. Well done, my babies.
About to set sail to Gauteng. I don't know which vessel we're going to use. Is it a cruise ship? Is it a tugboat? Or what is that other vessel that you called earlier on, Tuli, that you worked on? The old tanker, you know, all of that. So now we're heading over to Katleong Engineering School of Specialization in Gauteng. Over to you. Please give them a round of applause.
My name is Mandela and...
Okay, you are not audible.
Oh, no. I'm not audible. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Hope Mandela, and standing here with me is Gabet Mlabo. And what actions can corporate SA take to impact? What actions can corporate SA take to combat climate change and its impact? Corporate SA should prioritize climate action to mitigate the impacts of global warming. To achieve this, companies should invest in renewable energy resources such as solar, wind, and biomass to reduce dependence on fossil fuels. For instance, retailers like ShopRite should install solar panels in their shops and their stores, while financial institutions like Nedbank could provide financing for renewable energy projects.
Since South Africa already has experienced severe impact of climate change, including increased natural disasters from 1980, which has made the country to lose over 138 millions of rands. Also, water scarcity is a very, very huge problem, especially when after natural disasters such as hurricanes or droughts have affect not only us but also the fishing industry and basically everyone. Also, not only that, food security has had a huge hit, which having since the crops have The crops and livestock has losses, and also health impacts since we use water for everything. Also, it's very important that we should note ocean since we notice that rising temperatures are affecting marine life. And we should also note that the changes in ocean currents shifts that impact global weather and marine productivity. Also, we have also lost marine life of the many years that have passed. Thank you.
As my teammate have said, climate change refers to a long-term warming of the planet due to an increase of an average global temperature. Number one, it's a sustainable practices. Is to implement eco-friendly practices across operations, including energy efficiency, water reduction, and sustainable sourcing. Renewable energy is to invest in renewable energy sources such as solar and wind to reduce carbon footprints. Carbon offset programs, develop or invest in carbon offset projects like reforestation or conservation initiatives. Employee engagement to foster a culture of sustainability through training and employee initiatives that encourage eco-friendly behaviors. Supply chain management collaborate with suppliers to ensure sustainable practices throughout the supply chain. Community initiatives support local communities in climate adaptation efforts such as resilience building and infrastructure improvements. Research and innovation to invest in research how new technologies and practices that mitigate climate change impact. The last one is advocacy and policy engagement. To engage with policymakers to promote and support legislation aimed at reducing carbon emissions. Last but not last, climate change consequence in marine economy, loss of biodiversity and ecosystem services, impact of fisheries and food security, decreased coastal protection and erosion, increased risk of marine invasion, and economic and social impact on coastal communities. Thank you.
Moreover, businesses should adopt sustainable supply chain management practices, ensuring that suppliers meet rigorous environmental and social standards. Companies like Woolworth, Pick n Pay, and Tiger Brands should source materials locally, reduce waste, and promote eco-friendly transportation. To further minimize carbon footprints, corporations should implement carbon offset and energy efficiency initiatives. Sasol, Anglo American, and Standard Bank should continue to lead by example through their carbon offset programs, energy efficient technologies, and deforestation projects. Ultimately, South African businesses should prioritize water conservation and efficient use, implement waste reduction and recycling programs, develop green infrastructure and buildings, promote climate change resilient agricultural practices, adopt electric vehicles and risk charging infrastructure. By taking these steps, corporate South Africa can contribute to meaningful and more sustainable future. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you for your informative presentation. We will now hand over to Ms. Zuki to give them some feedback.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Well done. You guys don't need to be nervous. I enjoyed your presentation. I like that you brought it home and gave context in terms of what we are seeing in our country, in terms of some of the big corporates that we have. I also like that you guys mentioned community initiatives. A lot of times when we speak climate change, we forget that we also need to look at what the people can do to help us. So corporate SA can definitely assist with providing the required funding, but it really needs to be fed back into the communities that can really make a difference on the ground on a day-to-day. So that is really good from you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And now we are headed back home. And I'm not sure if we're taking the bus or the airplane or we're coming back with the tugboat. But eventually we ended up back again in Motherwell. And now to come to the front, please give a round of applause for Motherwell High School.
They all walk like that.
They're good.
No, in real life.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
They will not run.
A warm welcome to our present. My name is Masimangi Manjezi and I will be introducing the topic being said that what action should corporate SA take to combat climate change and its impact? Imagine a world where we can breathe easily, where air is clean and oceans are thriving, where heat waves are a thing of the past and droughts are no longer a threat to our food security. This world is within reach, but requires action from all of us, including corporate South Africa. By taking bold steps into combating climate change, companies can create a better future for all. Climate change in South Africa is a growing crisis. Rising temperatures, devastating droughts, and escalating coastal erosion threaten the very foundation of South Africa's ecosystem and economy. As the country grapples with the consequences of climate change, including crippling water scarcity, biodiversity loss, and dire health impacts, leading to a critical question: what role can corporate South Africa play in this crisis? Well, I would like to hand over the debating to Apelekeka, who will be discussing furthermore. Thank you.
Well, as he mentioned, I will be discussing furthermore on what corporate SA can do to combat climate change. There are some specific steps that corporate entities in South Africa can consider, like transitioning to renewable energy. Investing in renewable energy sources such as solar, wind, and hydropower can reduce the reliance on fossil fuels, thus lowering carbon emissions. Also, South Africa has an abundance in renewable energy potential that companies can leverage. Also, given the water scarcity issues in parts of South Africa, corporations can implement water-saving measures, like recycling and reusing water where possible, and promoting responsible water management practices. In addition to all of this, we can encourage suppliers to adopt sustainable practices that impact our environment. These can include sourcing materials responsibly, supporting local suppliers, and integrating environmental criteria into procurement decisions. And I would like to pass it over to Ayanda Gindana, who will be discussing furthermore on the educational aspects of corporate SA.
Greetings to the House at large. Today I will be elaborating in a few steps what we together with corporate SA could do to effectively mitigate climate change. Corporate SA could educate employees on climate change. This includes providing employees with proper resources and training to expose employees to the effects of the climate change, thus empowering them to take action towards mitigating climate change. The second one is developing climate change programs. These could include workshops, seminars, and online courses that will not only educate employees but also individuals of certain communities and excuse me, and make them and expose them to the best practices for suitability. The last one, but most definitely not being the least, is engaging with stakeholders and communities. This includes reaching out to communities and businesses to discuss the impacts and brainstorm convenient solutions. I'll be handing over to Cecilia Ndungane, who will be concluding our presentation. Thank you.
Salutations to all. I will be concluding to what my group members have just said. Corporate South Africa has a critical role to play in combating climate change. By adopting to these recommendations, businesses can reduce greenhouse gas emissions, enhance brand reputation, improve operational efficiency, support sustainable economy, and mitigate climate-related risks. The time to act is now. Let us work together to create a low-carbon, climate-resilient future for South Africa. With that being said, let us call to action, join the movement towards a sustainable future, make climate action a business imperative. Thank you.
Wow. Wow. Well done. Well done. Over to you, Mr. Sonti.
I think that was a well-described, presentation, and the teamwork, amongst all of them, and the research shows, how much work they're putting into it. Also, I think around one of the things that they've highlighted, I think part of their solution has got a lot of inclusivity, communities, business, government that they touched on. Let's just give them a big round of applause. Yeah.
And now for our final group from Douglas Mbopa High School in Motherwell. Can you please come to the front? You okay? It's just excitement, guys, just excitement.
It's between team 2 and team 4, the one now. The one.
Greetings to you all. Standing in front of you is Elihle Badenhorst. I am a proud learner from Douglas Mbopa High School, where I've got the privilege of developing and learning alongside with talented individuals. I would like to start off by saying that we as Douglas Mbopa, we are grateful for the opportunity that was given to us so that we could share our mindsets and our sentiments about the topic provided. With that being said, I'd like to proceed to the core of our presentation, which mainly focuses on what acts should Corporate SA take to combat climate change and its impact. Over to you, Snagonzel.
What acts should Corporate SA take to climate change, particularly in the shipping industry? But I think before we proceed to that, let us indulge into what climate change is. Climate change is the shifting of temperature and the changing of weather in a particular place over a period of time. I am Sina Komtele, representing Douglas Mbopa High School. Now, climate change causes cutting down of trees, in forests, burning of fossil fuels, and farming livestock. Now, the results to that, as we can see, are hurricanes, storms, and other things that are bad for our ecosystem. Now, regarding the shipping industry, when storms occur, money is spent to buy basic needs that correspond with weather changes, which then causes other trade interactions not to be made due to climate change, therefore resulting to loss in our economy. Therefore, let us look deeper into that. With that being said, I'd like to hand over to my teammate, Bulumkondot.
Morning to everyone. My name is Bulumkondoto, and I will be covering the solutions. Solutions that we should uncover are the uses of artificial intelligence with our navigation systems. Solutions that we should uncover are the uses of artificial intelligence with our navigation systems, which will let us avoid weather disruptions, which will benefit our fuel consumption. We should also invest in biodegradable fuel, which will not only decrease the use of harmful emissions, but also innovative and efficient ways of shipping transport. We should also consider implementing waste management systems and air lubrication systems to minimize the disposal of plastics, oils, and other pollutants into the oceans. We should also support innovation in hydrogen fuel cells and battery technologies that could power our future vessels. Thank you. Over to you.
Greetings to you all. My name is Mivio Memela, a grade 10 learner from Douglas Mbopa. I came here to add on what Bulumkondoto has said. To combat climate change in South Africa, we have, to combat climate change in South Africa, we need to have an organization that specifically focuses on planting trees, like in industrial parks, power stations, and greenhouse gases concentrated areas. By doing that, it could help us a lot because it increases lifespan in South Africa because of the oxygen produced by these green plants. And we need to have an organization that specifically focuses on greenhouse gases so that it can run so it can run smoothly, so that it can be responsible and everything can work well to reduce the climate change. I would like to handle it to Malinga.
Greetings to you all. Standing in front of you is Owa Malinga, representing Douglas Mbopa, and I'm going to conclude our presentation. In conclusion, by adopting these actions, corporate South Africa can significantly reduce environmental impacts aligned within international standards and contribute to global efforts to mitigate climate change within the shipping industry. Combating climate change requires collective actions and innovation. By implementing sustainable practices, we will be able to reduce climate change for a healthier South Africa. Let's act now. I thank you.
Well done, well done, well done. Thank you for the informative presentation. Now, over to you.
Thank you again. Good afternoon. Douglas Mbopa, well done, well done. I enjoyed the fact that firstly they started with defining what climate change is, because sometimes we take for granted that everybody understands. I like it. And also it means you are really serious about one of the issues that you talk about in terms of collaboration. Because if you are going to collaborate with anybody, you must be prepared to educate those people, to take them along. And I also enjoy the fact that they are also going to create jobs for us by doing organizations that will employ people to plant trees. That can also solve another problem, and it's easy to do. Thank you very much for your solutions. Well done.
Thank you very much. And that concludes our presentation on climate change. We will give our judges about 3 minutes just to, do the finer details on the system that they are working. But I would like to ask Fungiwe her comments on what was presented around here by the grade 10 learners.
Thank you, Captain. I am so impressed about our esteemed guest. I think everyone here showed preparedness. They came prepared. They came to represent their schools, and it shows in their articulation, in their delivery. I think they deserve all a round of applause for the presentation. A job well done to you all. Thank you. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Angelique, your thoughts?
I've heard words that I've never heard before today. Like, yo, guys, well done. I think it was so well researched, I think everyone was prepared. You should all be very proud of yourselves. So, yeah, well done to everyone.
And now I'm going to put one of our senior managers here in TNPA also on the spot, who works in sustainability. Sis Trebile, your comments on what was presented?
Wow, good afternoon. Wow, I'm still blown away. I think the future is in the right hands.
Safe
well
hands.
done. Well done, guys.
Thank you so much. Almost. Anyone else want to say something? Maybe what you have learned, something that you didn't know? Should I go by school? Should I go alphabetically? So we'll be first. No, guys. Oh. Anyone else? I think I should just go randomly. I can just see the heads going down. I think we're starting a choir now. So, Kaisa, anything to add? Solomon Mashlangu, anything to add? I've got a mic for you. Please give a round of applause.
What I'd like to say is thank you, actually, for this opportunity, to everyone that took part, even behind the scenes. Thank you to everyone that is here today. Thank you to everyone that actually presented. I myself, and I'd like to believe many others, have learned a lot from you guys. Hopefully you guys have learned a lot from us as well. Hopefully this will continue and happen more often rather, so that we get to know and engage with each other, network, so that one day when we're in spaces, we are able to identify each other and remind ourselves and remind each other of why some of us are in the maritime sector. Remind ourselves of where we are. We were once here, and yeah, we're all big now, and we're able to.
Thank you. Let's go to Gauteng, Katleong. Let's go to Gauteng. Hi guys. I can't hear you. We can see movement. We can't hear anything. Are there any comments or final thoughts from you guys that you would like to share with us here in Gqeberha? Is there something you want to add, something you've learned? Or are we starting a choir?
And what I've learned is that we should keep our environment clean and safety because for the next generations to come. Because right now, if you destroy what is here, there's nothing that the generation is going to find. So what I've learned, and thank you to the other participants, because we have learned so much that we can keep our our climate and environment very safely. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Well, now the moment we've all been waiting for. Woo! Are we starting a choir now? Woo! Okay, so the scores are in and we're about to proceed. We're starting from 6th place and then we move up. Are we ready? Okay. And in 6th place, we've got, drum roll, Dish, Kungani High School. Well done. And then in 5th place, drum roll, Dish, we've got Sokaisa. And then in 4th place, drum roll, Dish, Solomon Mashlangu. In 3rd place, drum roll, Dish, Katlehong Engineering School of Specialization. Excuse me guys, I don't have my glasses on. So now there are 2 schools left. So now already, if I mention the 2nd place, then we all know who's going to take, right? Okay, so can we start with 2nd place first? Drum roll. Dish. We've got Douglas Mbopa. So, the winners of the Climate Challenge for 2024 World Maritime Day is Motherwell High School. Give them a round of applause. Please come to the front. Motherwell, you can come to the front. All of you. Yay! Okay, the shorter ones in front. Maybe I should just ask them, one of you, how does it feel? I can't believe you guys are nervous. I mean, like you won.
It's so exciting.
So, okay.
So exciting. So delighting. Come on, eh? Come on, eh? Very demure, very shy and calm. Come on, eh? Very cutesy.
It feels very rewarding because we literally did not sleep, preparing for the presentation. So we would like to thank the judges for seeing us worthy. For first place, for having the best presentation, and also our teacher who always keeps motivating us even when we are at our lowest. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Just hold this here in front. So don't worry, all of you will get. It's just the one now for the pictures. Smile. Well done, Motherwell High School. Well done. And that concludes our program for today. Thank you for your innovative thoughts, your critical thinking, and sharing your knowledge with us here at TNPA, as well as our external people that's watching on YouTube, Facebook, and also our school in Gauteng, Katlehong Engineering School of Specialization. Thank you guys for your contribution as well as here. So, last thing. We are going on a port tour after this. For us here at Mendy Building. Thank you once again and enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your afternoon. Keep on inspiring yourselves. Keep on inspiring your neighbor, your friends, even your family at home, and continue to flourish in your schoolwork. Do we have a deal? Yes. Continue to inspire yourself. From your host, Ronaldo Abdul, bon voyage until we meet again. Goodbye. Sorry? Please guys, please remain seated.